In a world where tomorrow's blockbusters reign,
three millennials look back on our generation's classics.
Our generation's classics,
And remember.
Hey everyone, welcome to Millennials of the Movie House, the podcast where three friends watch our generation's beloved movies of yesterday and review them from our modern adult perspective. I'm Betsy.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Serena.
And today we watched Home Alone. Yay! Happy summer. We're watching Home Alone.
Wait, the Christmas movie that everyone loves.
Yeah, right. Of course. 1990, written by John Hughes and directed by Chris Columbus. Big names.
John Hughes. I don't know why I didn't know that.
I should have. Yeah, same. It didn't occur to me until this time around. Because who pays attention to the opening credits? They're boring opening credits. Starring Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, Catherine O'Hara, John Hurd, and Robert Blossom. Quick synopsis, Tracy, go.
Home Alone. It says it all. This very, very, very large family is going to Paris for Christmas. And when I say large, I mean like 20 people.
Excuse me, it was 15 people.
You're right. There's 15 people in this house and you're the only one causing trouble. Apologies. 15 people.
I need you to know, I'm going to show you this. I decided to try to map out the family without looking it up. Yes.
Oh my God, you guys.
I need to see if you and I agree because I think the Home Alone wiki is incorrect.
I have issues and I think it takes into account Home Alone 2 and I think there's another Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin maybe.
Yes, there's a Home Alone 2 and I think there are 3 other children involved.
Yes, agreed.
Yes. Rob's kids.
Yes.
Okay. Continue.
And I have
okay.
All right. So the power goes out. There's some storm or whatever. So in the house of 15 people, they all sleep in, and they are late. So they are rushing to the airport, but they forgot that the day before. Kevin, he's not quite the youngest. I guess he's the youngest of his family.
Right.
Was acting up, which I will get into because I don't truly agree with this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And was put upstairs into like one of the kid guest bedrooms because there were so many people in the house and they kind of forgot him. And he's left home alone. So he has to deal with being home alone as an 8-year-old, but also there is a pair of bandits that are stealing from all the houses on the street of people who have gone away for Christmas. So he has to deal with them breaking into his house and shenanigans. And then there's like a C plot of the scary guy next door who like he's scared of, and then he, helps out and learns the true meaning of Christmas or some crap like that.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah, honestly, Christmas really doesn't come into it that much in this.
That
except
was
for the
going to
fact
be
that everyone's gone.
Right. That was going to be one of my questions is this really a Christmas movie?
Right. Or does it just happen around Christmas time?
Exactly.
All right. Well, now we're getting into the Die Hard thing again. So
exactly.
True. Yeah.
Exactly.
This is the Die Hard quandary.
Yeah. Yep. Because it's all about, the argument for it being a Christmas movie, aside from it being set during Christmas, is that it's all about family, and that's what Christmas movies tend to be about. And but Die Hard is all about that too, in a way.
Yeah,
so...
you're right. And he's like, all right, I think we're the first one here that Home Alone is Die Hard. He's fighting the bad guys to get to his family.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very
and all
good
he
point.
wants to do is return to them by Christmas.
Yeah. All right.
You heard it here
Valid.
first.
Breakthrough, guys.
Yep.
First 5 minutes of the podcast. All right. So before we jump in, I want to circle back to what you and I were just discussing because I want to get to the bottom of the family.
Yes.
Okay. Let me read off what I have, the notes that I have, and then we'll get into the Rob family.
Yeah.
Okay. So there were 3 brothers, Peter, Frank, and Robert. Peter married Kate, Frank married Leslie, Robert married Georgette.
Correct.
Peter and Kate had Kevin. This is not in chronological order. I apologize. Kevin, Buzz, Jeff, Linny, and Megan.
Correct.
Okay. Frank and Leslie had Fuller, Tracy, Rod, and Brooke.
And there's another kid in there.
I don't think there is. And let me explain why.
Oh,
I have
okay.
Robert and Georgette have Heather and Sandra. And this is where I disagree with the Home Alone wiki.
Oh,
Because there's a very specific moment where Kate says both of
his
his
children.
kids are still here.
yes.
Right. So Heather had a sister. Sandra.
Okay. That
And there was an
fixes
extra
things.
daughter. There was an extra girl in there. And her name was
Okay.
Sandra. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
Okay. That fixes the problem I have, because I had that Sandra was Frank and Leslie's because I took it off of whatever. And I was like,
Right.
but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense.
Right.
I'm
But
going to have to
on the-
rewatch that the beginning part
On
of
the
it.
Home Alone wiki, it says that Sandra is Frank and Leslie's daughter. But I disagree. All because Kate says both kids.
Yep.
That's all.
And
right.
in future things, it looks like Rob and Georgette have more children, but I think they're
Yes.
younger.
Stefan and then twin daughters, I guess.
Okay.
How did you figure all that out?
Well, Stefan and twin daughters, Duadas.
That-
Did you hear that? Duadas.
What is?
What
I
is? Oh, the
just-
Rhode Island's coming out.
I just
it
looked
is.
that up. That was
Yeah.
my only reference point was the wiki for that, because I think it is Home Alone 2, maybe that they're referenced.
Yeah.
But everyone, I like made a point of not looking it up. I'm like, I can figure this out through the movie alone. I can do this.
Good job. Okay.
Thanks.
That fixes things. Good job.
All right. Anyway, not the point at all.
So
Go ahead.
when I was little, I never understood, because I wasn't really paying attention to the conversations that the parents were having
Mhm.
on the phone and to each other. There's
Mhm.
a lot of not deposition. What am I trying to say?
Exposition.
Exposition.
I knew
Your
what you were gonna say.
deposition.
Yeah.
So it explains a lot that I never paid attention to. And granted, it wasn't that I paid attention to the first time this time, but I think it's still apt to say that we were like, how did they afford to get all these people to
Right.
Paris?
Right.
And why are they going to Paris? And it was like, because one of the
third
brothers
brother's
live there.
Yes.
They're going to go visit him. And I will argue, like, the question has always been, how do they have enough money to do this? If you look at that house, that many kids,
Oh God.
and
yeah.
the money that she's like willing to drop at a hat, granted, she would drop anything to get back home, but like the things she had just on her are crazy. And at one point, the bandits say, this is like the creme de la creme of this neighborhood is that house.
They keep calling it the Silver Tuna.
Yeah.
That's what they want to get to.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is the most affluent house. So they
Yeah,
are, they're rolling in it.
ever since I became an adult watching, because I watch this movie once a year at Christmas
Yeah,
time,
same.
of course.
Yep.
Ever since I became adult, I'm like, I want to know what the father does so
Yeah.
badly, because he is rolling in it. Because I mean, she could be working too, absolutely, but what is it, 4 or 5 kids?
Yeah.
I mean, my God, if both parents are working with 5 kids, God only knows what's happening in the house. That said, that actually points to the parental problems that I have in this movie, because no offense, they are not doing great at
Terrible
parenting.
parents. Yeah.
And I understand that it's a very stressed out time. Maybe this is not them at their best, but yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
Agreed.
Yeah.
The thing that does make this Christmas is the soundtrack. There is a lot of
You guys
music.
would be so proud of me. I pegged John Williams before his name popped up.
oh, good job.
I actually
Yep.
knew that because I had a whole conversation about it with my sister when we watched Home Alone together, like last Christmas or the one before. But like that was one of the movies. Remember, I went through and I Googled like
I mean, all the greats.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's really it's no wonder that this became a classic between John Hughes, Chris Columbus, and John Williams. That's insane. That's an insane lineup. Yeah. Of course, it's gonna be a classic. Okay. Well, all right. So
And I don't think they quite understood the brilliance of Catherine O'Hara yet.
seriously, okay, can we
John
talk about
Hurd.
how is there ever a movie where Catherine O'Hara doesn't play a crap mom?
Oh yeah.
It's just the role.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice and
Is
Schitt's
she in
Creek.
Schitt's Creek?
I mean, let's talk
Mhm.
about
Schitt's
Schitt's Creek,
Creek,
yeah,
right?
that's-
Yeah.
that kind of.
All
That's,
right.
I feel
Yep.
like that's what made her the household name that she is now.
Yeah, it really did. And then people looked back that was like, oh, she's always been brilliant.
Right. All right. So taking a step back, this is one of those movies where it's especially hard for me not to look at it with nostalgia eyes.
Yep.
Because when I'm watching it, normally it's during Christmas, and I purposefully am watching it for the nostalgia reason. Yep. So objectively speaking, how did we like this movie?
Objectively,
I
don't know if I could do objectively, because I have a strong attachment to this and many other movies from the era. I don't know if I could separate myself.
Can you try to imagine if you had never seen this movie before, you were watching this movie for the very first time, would you enjoy this movie?
Was I watching it in 1993 or was I watching it in 2000?
Yeah, I don't think I necessarily would, because of all the little flaws that I'm like, I think they're funny now. But I think if I watched now, I'd be like, what is going on? Why are the parents so bad? Why is he so annoying? Why? And I don't particularly like the Three Stooges type of comedy. What's that called? Slapstick.
Yep.
I don't necessarily find that funny. And this movie was basically a children's slapstick.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree with you on all accounts.
I think it's a family movie because an adult can watch it through and be entertained, whereas some cartoons you're like, I can't watch this.
Right.
But it is for children. So you would watch it with kids.
Right.
I think it's like aimed for all the audience. I think it's aimed for parents too. Like
well, that's why Catherine O'Hara has a lot of scenes, and I'm sure that was their attempt to bring the parents into it.
And honestly, I think that's what they were marketing it towards. It wasn't like they were trying to push it, so. Yeah,
it's not just for kids. It was a family movie.
Yeah.
Whereas the sequels, maybe not two, but like the 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, those are definitely for kids, and parents would.
Yes. It's always, the sequels are always stupid and for children.
Yep.
And for like
straight to video.
Look at Beethoven and Air Bud. And like all of those movies, like the first movie was like, okay, it was a family friendly, fun. Yeah. And then they were like, we need to milk this and we're going to make it stupid for kids.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. I completely agree with you. And I am also not a big fan of slapstick. This gets a little bit close to the realm of pranking, and it's not quite there, which is fine. But I really, really hate pranking, even in real life, let alone in movies. Like, just the entire concept annoys me. So this is really not my cup of tea. Also, I never really registered how far into the movie you get before the shenanigans ensue.
Yep. It's really like
so much buildup.
Yeah. The last fourth of the movie, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
So, and it's funny because this time around, I enjoyed everything up until that point. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I liked him learning how to be alone, like going shopping and
he became remorseful, and he acknowledged that he wasn't a good kid and blah blah blah. Yeah, that's stuff I want to see. Yeah. Which, on the one hand, okay, going back to it, on the one hand, he was, acting up and whatnot, but he got punished, I feel like, for the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because there was a point where he calls his mother something. What does he call her? A dummy. He calls her a dummy at one point. When he gets up on the bed, he says, why don't you get off the phone and tell me to get down, or something like that. He is sassing his mother left and right, and she does not bat an eye at it. But when he retaliates when Buzz is teasing him, no.
Yeah. No. I in life as a child and in movies or anything, I hate it when it's the wrong kid that gets punished. It's like the reaction, because that's what gets this, like, the attention. Like, the parent will miss the original thing, but then when it explodes or blows up or makes more noise or whatever, that's what they catch, and that's the kid that gets in trouble. And it's like, why don't you pause for a second and see why that reaction happened?
Right. Exactly.
Not to say that maybe they both deserve to be punished, but maybe you should, like,
get to the root of the problem, work through it.
Yeah.
And, like, I understand like the craziness that occurred after the mishap, but like soda spilling in Uncle Frank's lap, that was Peter's fault. That was not Kevin's fault. I mean, it's like little things like that. I was like,
yeah.
oh.
I think, and all like when he's trying to like get help from all of his siblings, because I don't know how to pack my suitcase. He's 8.
Right.
What did the mom think he was going to throw into a suitcase?
Exactly.
Like, how, and it's the day before. If you have that many kids, that many people in the house, how do you not have all of your crap packed and by the door?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The hell's wrong
You
with
get
them?
that stuff packed and ready before Frank's family gets there, because you know chaos is going to ensue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Frank, can we talk about Frank?
Oh, God, I hate Frank. I hate him so much.
Frank.
I hate him.
Yeah.
He's not just a horrible uncle, father, husband. He's just a bad person.
Yeah.
He's oblivious and like.
Yep. Everything about him he's the true villain of this movie.
He really is.
He is.
My nanny anxiety kicks in because the packing, the organization, lack thereof.
Would you allow kids to wreak havoc the way they wreak havoc in this movie?
No, absolutely not. I run a tight ship. You guys know how I roll.
And
Zero BS policy.
I would argue that maybe 3 kids are like of that like troublemaking age, and the rest of them should know better.
Right.
Yeah.
I kept looking at Heather like she should be a 5th adult in this scenario. And yes, she was the one that they told to do a head count, and she messed that up. But she like, why didn't Kevin go to I mean, I understand that she's just a cousin, but I would go to the oldest child and then work my way down, not just the siblings. But maybe that's just because cousin we have close cousins in our family. But
I thought that Heather lived with them.
Right. That was going to be one of my questions is, does Heather and Sandra live with which group do they live with? I
don't see Frank being like, you can stay with me.
Right. Unless they were in a boarding school or something.
No, I don't. Maybe, but I think the way that Catherine O'Hara, what's her name? Kate turns to her. I think this is not the first time she's turned to her to do things.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah. Especially the interaction in the van before they were leaving. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Okay. Fair. Yeah. Then Ken definitely should have turned to Heather. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, that's okay. We're getting nitpicky. Okay. All right. So what was everyone's favorite part of the movie? As 30 something in 2022, what is your favorite part?
Can I just say, obviously the music,
of course, the score and the soundtrack, like the popular songs they chose, as well as the John Williams stuff. Both of
I would almost say that the Christmas songs they did use became more popular because of this movie. Like Christmas Tree Rock or whatever it is.
Rocking Around the Christmas Tree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can't not think of that scene when you hear that song these days. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I meant to look up what other movies were released the same like time frame, because I wanted to see how it outshined.
Do you know what was released that same year?
No, it was
Goodfellas with Joe Pesci.
Oh wow. That is the opposite type of movie. That's interesting.
Because I was always wondering, because I think wasn't that Joe Pesci's like actual like big movie?
Goodfellas, absolutely. Yeah. Casino. I think he was in Casino too.
Oh, how old was that one?
Ooh, 90s, I want to say.
Okay. Well, this was 1990. And I was like, that's like, can you imagine like the biggest, baddest guy being the bad guy in a children's movie? That's scary.
Right. Now that we know who he is as adults, it is such a random movie for him to pick.
Yeah.
So I know you guys are both saying that you're not like super into the slapstick.
You are allowed to be into the slapstick.
The pranks that he was pulling, I was like, that's really well thought out. Why didn't I think of that? Like, I remember watching this as a kid and thinking, these are really good ideas. And then like my brother and I would like try and pull them off, and we would just fail miserably. And we're like, how did he do that? So like, even now I'm like, okay, like low key, a little still impressed, you know?
It
some of it was a little bit like cheesy though.
I feel like there was a point in time, and maybe it's still like this, where kids just did stuff like that in movies where like, because I kept thinking of like Overboard. They always had those like random crazy contraptions and inventions. And I know the neighbor
That was my
kid,
fun
right?
fact, is that the neighbor kid was Joey from Overboard.
Yes. Did you notice that when he's having the conversations with the driver, he mouths along to the driver's lines?
No, oh my
It's
gosh.
precious. It's so cute.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I did. I was like, is that Joey?
Oh, you recognized him?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
But then also it also reminded me of Cheaper by the Dozen, all of those like, pranky, because they do like a prank war in Cheaper by the Dozen, I think. And so like all those types of shenanigans, but engineering shenanigans almost.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like,
I mean,
almost like
I don't
well
think kids
thought
can
out.
actually do that. Is my problem. Is all
They
I'm saying.
can't, because the kids always play smarter than they really are in real life. Always.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever tried to play a board game with a child? They can't figure this. This is like real life mousetrap. They can't do that.
As Marv says, or whoever, kids are idiots. Kids are dumb. Actually, speaking of Marv, I feel like Daniel Stern doesn't get a lot of attention for this
Mhm.
movie and his career in general, but I think he actually has a solid career.
Yeah, he does.
It's just never like in the
Because he's never like the main guy. He's always that side guy.
right.
But he's still, he's a great
He's
actor.
just always around.
Yeah.
Daniel Stern, I think, is genius, and I would argue that my single favorite moment of the entire movie is his scream when the tarantula lands on his face, because
Oh
it is
yeah.
a beautiful scream. That's I'm gonna say
can't.
that.
I would go with the tarantula as my least favorite part. I don't know if we're doing least, but arachnophobia is a thing.
Oh no! If we're going for like worst part, it's the nail in the foot.
Oh,
Okay.
I still can't watch that. I still have to turn away.
So that's obviously purposefully there, which reminded me of, have you guys seen A Quiet Place?
A Quiet Place, yeah. The first time I saw A Quiet Place, I'm like, oh my God, they're doing Home Alone.
They're doing Home Alone. It has to have been an inspiration, because how does a nail get like that on a stair?
I know.
Yeah.
Like, why was a nail in the board
In the middle
there?
of a stair.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I know.
My favorite part was Angels with Filthy Souls.
Yes.
The
do you have like info on that? Because I feel
Well,
like
the
was
only
it made up for the movie, or was
it is. So
okay.
like this is the information that I remember from, forever, is that I feel like they tried to get another movie and maybe they couldn't get the rights to it or something. And I think it's because they used it so intentionally in several different parts that they wanted certain things. I'm not really sure, but it is a made up movie.
Worry about like clearances or anything like that.
Yeah. But it is a made up movie, and it comes back in the sequel where with Angels with Filthy Souls 2 is like playing or something on like the TV.
Nice.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Just so I understand, they filmed that movie as its own little thing. Like in 1990, they filmed that movie.
I mean, it was one scene, but
I know, but it was impressive. I never, to this day, I don't question that is an old movie.
Oh yeah, I wanted to go watch it.
Right. I bought it. And because I feel like a lot of the times when you're watching like a fake old movie, you can tell. There's something about it you can tell.
Yeah, because like in the background, he was also watching Miracle on 34th Street, the original.
Right.
And it's like,
and
you can
It's a
watch,
Wonderful Life was on too.
And in French.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yep. And whoever came up with the name Angels with Filthy Souls, that's great.
It's in reference to the 1938 film Angels with Dirty Faces.
Oh, I think I heard of that one.
I approve of that favorite part. Good job.
Because I like how they use it in multiple ways.
Yeah.
And
Yep. I know we talked about how, objectively speaking, at least Tracy and I are not, big fans of this movie. Do you guys remember watching this as a kid and, what your impressions were of it as a kid.
Oh yeah. I remember thinking it was like wicked funny.
I remember liking it. I remember my brother liking it. I remember always being annoyed with Buzz. I remember always hating Frank. I do remember being scared of the neighbor, like more so than the two bad guys.
Yes.
Because the bad guys were like funny and a joke. Whereas like we all had that scary person in the neighborhood or the house that you wouldn't go near or the, you know what I mean? And as a kid, old people are scary. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
they are.
And in retrospect, it is kind of like weird. Like, why is this old man talking to this young kid? Other than they are neighbors. So they do recognize each other. So they're like, hey, you live next door to me, remember? Type of thing. But
my big issue is after he saves Kevin, he brings him back home alone. Like he just leaves Kevin home alone still.
I think things were different in the 90s. Like I feel like DCF would be real quick popping over at the front door.
Well, right. Like all they had was like a knock on the door and they're like, nope, he's not answering.
Right.
And it's like,
yeah, of course he wouldn't answer. You're knocking on the door and he's alone.
Off of that, because he truly thinks his family disappears, is he wishes for that the night before. This movie, because I feel like that's a very popular trope, especially in like the 90s, 2000s of like Freaky Friday type thing or any type of like fairy godmother type moment. This is a wish fulfillment fantasy movie without magic.
Yes, that is a great way to look at it. If this movie was truly only from Kevin's perspective, it would be a full fantasy magic movie.
Yeah.
But because we're getting Catherine O'Hara's side of things, we see what's actually happening. That's a really good way of looking at it. And especially because I noticed the setup for the power going out is, the wind is really blustery and you see the wreath shake, and that is all immediately after him saying, I wish my family would disappear. So you're like, oh, that's the wish happening. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I think that's really clever. I like that. Good job.
I have 2 questions for you guys.
Okay.
What was your favorite trap/contraption? And I don't necessarily have an answer, but
I kind of feel like the ornaments one sticks out. Like when he's crawling back in, it's like, I'm like, oof, that hurts. Like these things literally look like they hurt. Like I know it's like just a movie, but I'm just like cringeworthy.
I agree with you because he keeps walking through them too. It's like at that point you've stepped on it once, then push them all out of the way.
Right.
Like don't continue to walk on them.
Right. Like use your hands and like,
right.
Something.
They were kind of like just like very dumb.
I did make a note. Yeah. This movie gave us an incorrect perception of injuries.
Yes.
Because like iron to the face it might kill you. It's not just gonna leave this weird, funny little impression on your face and you can still walk like fine. Like
right.
Things like that. And I feel like that's what you do with kids movies is you minimize the actual injuries, but like these guys are in the reality, these guys are extremely severely injured.
Yeah. Right. I read, it was either an article, I might even say it was a podcast I listened to where they were like, how many times would these guys have died? Yes. And they like, and they're like, the blowtorch to the head alone, you would be out of commission. Right. You would be severely burned, severe pain. You wouldn't go back into that house.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Which is like, I think the first thing that happens to
Joe Pesci, Harry.
Geez. Marv and Harry.
Mm-hmm. And even just slipping on the stairs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's back, throwing your back out. Throw your back out.
Cement stairs, I think too. That would be like
you could have broken your back easily.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, taking into account that these are pranks that are not actually causing injuries.
Yeah.
I think I would have to say the cars at the bottom of the stairs. Did somebody else already say that?
Nope. No, but that, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I don't know why, but
that's a good one.
So I'm not a slapstick person, but every now and then some little maneuver does make me laugh. And for whatever reason, the fact that they ran into each other and fell, that tickles me. Yeah. I thought that was funny.
Yep.
She's tickled.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another question.
Whoa, you have to answer it too.
Oh, I think it's with the the angels with the filthy souls. I like the
Yes.
like the firecracker type part of it.
Mhm.
I do like, mostly because I like people seeing like the cosplay of the wet bandits. Is I do like the iron mark on his head,
Yeah.
and then the blowtorch to
feathers.
the feathers.
and the
Yeah.
feathers.
Yeah, and that's like a
Iconic scene. Iconic look.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, and I think one of the best lines too is what happened to your face? Why the hell do you look like a chicken? Or
Oh yeah,
was a-
the chicken
Why are you
comment,
dressed
like-
like a chicken? Why are you
yeah,
dressed
yeah,
like a
yeah. When they
chicken?
run into
Yeah.
each other, that's a
That was like that's like a flashback full circle to I thought you was a chicken.
Okay, what was your next question, Trey?
How would you have survived Home Alone? Like, would you have been able to, like, I'm trying to think of myself as at 7, right? No, 8.
8.
He like, would you, I don't even know if I knew how to like correctly turn the shower on.
No.
Never mind being being able to order pizza over the phone. You know what I mean? Like I was terrified of the phone.
He was not a normal.
Were you able to like figure out how to do laundry at that point?
Well,
And put in
but
fabric
so
softener? Like, I don't
No.
know if
here's my
maybe because he's in a huge family, he can do this stuff, because he kind of has to be like, you do it on your own.
right, but he was afraid to go downstairs because of the furnace, so he never went down to do the laundry.
Right.
Furnace.
Also,
So-
why did he have to do laundry? It was like 2 days.
That was terrifying. The furnace was terrified. Dude, the furnace terrified me. Okay.
Honestly, I can't imagine a scenario where there's not a single person I could call. Like
The phones are out.
I knew, oh, the phones are out. I would go to a neighbor's house if the neighbors weren't there. I mean, we don't live in I live in the middle of when I was 9, I lived in the middle of town. I would have been able to find somebody to help me. I can't imagine a scenario where I'm just like, okay, I'm home alone for
Yeah.
the foreseeable future. This is
Yeah.
my life now.
Like I was pretty capable of like doing stuff. Like I babysat pretty young, but not at
Not
8.
that young. Yeah.
Maybe at like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
But like I was still like, I'm still afraid of the dark. You know?
Right. I don't think I would even try to survive on my own. Is
No,
basically
I
the
think-
answer to my
yeah.
question.
I see the thing is like I did think about when I was younger, I'm like, what would I do? The guys breaking into the houses, that part makes it it makes it scary. And Macaulay Culkin, it's like this is like him in his prime, he goes into survival mode and he fights back. But I don't think many kids would do that. I think half of us would be quivering in a corner and the other half would be like calling 911 and saying, help.
Well, and let's remember, he does call 911.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So at some point the phones came back into service. But he's only calling 911 for his neighbor's house. He's still not calling 911 for himself.
Yeah. And that's the point, because he called to order pizza too. So the phones do
Right.
come back at some point.
Yep.
And you would think that like at least the dad, maybe not the mom if she's traveling, but you would think every hour they would call home.
Right.
yeah, what
Just
the hell?
check to see if it's back on.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Good questions, Trey. I liked those. Those were good questions.
Thanks. I have
All
a
right.
couple more random things.
Go for it.
The plan from Harry to pose as a cop to get the lay of the land and to see who's like gone. That's brilliant. I'm
Genius.
sorry.
Absolute genius.
Brilliant.
That is
He's
one of my
pacing it
first
out.
notes was like, that is brilliant. Yeah.
It, like to get, and like he has the timers. He knows the timers.
Yep.
He knows which one has timers because
Yep.
they tell them the plan. They're like, oh, how are you staying safe this season? Oh, well, I have automatic timers. I'm, and they tell him everything.
Genius.
And who wouldn't? It was,
Yeah.
and then my very last note, and I'm saying this because I think my brother will kill me if I don't say it, because I make this comment every year, is that first off, there's a blooper when Kevin is eating dinner, you can see 2 different meals on his plate.
Really?
Yep. But I never really noticed it. I'm going to have to I was told that I'm going to have to, and I didn't notice it this round, but maybe I wasn't paying attention. My thing is he placed himself at dinner. There's macaroni and cheese all ready to go. The candles are lit and he's about to take a bite when the clock goes off. And that's when he starts his plan or whatever.
Right.
And I am like, dude, you have been running around all day. You are hungry. When the clock goes off, you don't blow out the candles and lightly place your silverware on the thing and go off to do what you're doing. You go and then
Right.
put it all in like
Right.
cartoon, like shove it in your mouth and then
Yeah,
continue
exactly.
with your plan. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
No, that scene actually annoyed me arguably the most, because I had the same thought. I was like, well, they're coming at 9:30 and you're sitting down to dinner at 9:30. Like, what you
Yeah.
doing? And
What you doing?
he picked up a knife and fork. You're not,
Yeah,
you don't
that's not
eat
how-
mac
yeah.
and cheese with a knife.
Right.
Yeah.
It was meant
Sus.
to just be that, like, you know.
yeah.
All right, notes roundup, guys. Does anybody have anything they haven't mentioned yet? Oh, John Candy.
Oh
We
yeah.
haven't mentioned
Oh,
John Candy
yeah.
yet.
John
Yep.
Candy.
It's a relatively small role.
Huge. I was like, huge star for a very, very
Yeah.
small role.
And the more
Yeah.
I watch this as an adult, the more I'm convinced that most, if not all, of his lines are ad lib.
Oh,
feel like.
you know what? I want to say that I read that like whole like scene of how him being left somewhere. Or
Yeah, like the scene in the van more than anything else. I'm like, that's him just.
that's just him
listening.
talking. He
And
knew
because-
the
Right.
idea and just went off of it.
And Catherine O'Hara is an improv,
Yeah.
icon too. So she was able to just work with it.
Yep.
I totally buy it. I feel like his character was very close to his character in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And I wonder, do we know when Planes, Trains? I think it was a year before. So I wonder if it was maybe the part of the reason why he's in this is because
maybe
of his character in that. But
John Candy and Macaulay Culkin meet again in Uncle Buck, right?
Uncle Buck.
Uncle
Uncle Buck was
Buck.
first, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? I've
88,
never
I thought.
actually seen Uncle Buck. I've only seen the scene of them at the table when he's like, "Are you married?" No. Why? It's a long story. That's an
I've
even
never
longer
s-
story.
I've never seen that either, actually. So actually, let's do a really quick look up and see. Uncle Buck was 1989,
Oh, all right.
Okay.
and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was 87. There we go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I did recognize some of the other child actors and actresses aside from Macaulay Culkin. Definitely Megan, the actress who played Megan, was in this movie called Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even. Does anybody remember
Oh.
this movie?
Maybe. Was
It's
she
from
the blonde?
1991, so I feel like she may have been riding the Home Alone,
Okay.
wagon to get this role. So that is basically all I remember about this movie. It was not a good movie, but I just every time I see her in Home Alone, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even girl. And then the other person I recognized is Jeff, Kevin's brother, the redhead, who was in
Oh,
Pete
yeah.
and Pete. Does that sound right?
Yes.
P&P.
Yes.
Pete and Pete.
I remember that.
All
I
right.
don't remember it. I just remember the name of it. And I
I
remember
mean,
him.
Fuller is Kieran
Yeah,
Culkin.
Kieran Culkin, of course. I ignored Kieran Culkin.
Oh yeah, I think he's in a more recent Succession.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yes.
He,
Oh, yeah,
he
Arguably more
has
famous than Macaulay Culkin.
more of a filmography than Macaulay Culkin. Yeah. All right. So, Martini Shot, would you recommend this movie?
Yeah. I think it's a fun Christmas movie, I think, for the kids. And like you said, a lot of the kids movies nowadays are even dumber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I like the classics. So yeah, I
And
would.
I feel like kids or children don't like watching old movies, but Christmas is like an exception.
Mhm.
Like during Christmas time, you can be like, oh well, this is the family movie that you sit down and watch. So
And like all you have to explain is they don't have cell phones,
right.
and that's it. Like
Right.
that, you just have to explain that. And
Yep. Serena, Martini Shot, would you recommend this movie?
I still say yes. I watch it every Christmas, and honestly, it's just, even though it's stupid in some ways, it's still kind of like a feel-good movie. It puts me in a bit of a good mood and brings me back to the 90s,
Yep, I agree. I say yes as well, because everything you guys just said, it's part of the list of Christmas movie classics that
Mhm.
I have to watch every year.
Yep.
So everybody has to watch it. That's my rule. All right. Really super quickly, does anybody have any recommendations for what you guys have been
Oh,
watching? Not
I
Home
had
Alone
one.
related?
What was I? The Wilds.
The Wilds.
The Wilds. It's season 2 just started.
Mhm.
I highly recommend it. It's kind of like Lost meets gosh, what was that book we had to read when kids were abandoned on an island?
Island of the Lord of the
The Lord of the
Flies.
Flies.
Oh yeah.
It's like Hunger Games meets Lord of the Flies meets Lost. It's I highly recommend it.
Okay, good. No, I do remember when season 1 came out and there was like a big buzz around it. So good. I'm glad to hear that it's actually good and not just, the world
Well,
is saying.
I like it.
Well, all right, Serena, you got anything?
I'm still on Gossip Girl.
Still working through Gossip Girl. That is fair
That's
enough.
been your year-long project.
I just started this last night. I only got 24 minutes in, but The Lincoln Lawyer is a new show on Netflix.
Have you seen the movie?
Based on the novel, and I have seen the movie, and I really like the movie. I think I just have a little crushy poo on Matthew McConaughey.
Agreed.
But yeah, good movie. I guess the book had some rave reviews, and then this show is, I don't know if it's a mini series or not. I just started it, but so far I really like it. Great acting, sticking to the plot line, so far 24 minutes and I like it. So I guess I could throw that out as a recommendation.
Nice. The only recommendation I have is Eurovision happened this weekend. So if you need some silly background noise, that is a fun thing to watch.
I've never watched it, but I did read the book Space Opera.
Yes. Yes. Honestly, Space Opera is the reason that I know about Eurovision when it came out a few years ago. And ever since then, I'm like, I always have to watch this.
Yeah.
This bonkers thing that is happening. All right. Next movie. Are we ready for next movie?
Ooh, no.
Zoolander.
Oh my God. I literally just was texting about that.
That's so actually, I love that movie.
I love that movie too.
I never get sick of Ben Stiller.
Oh my God. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. If you like what you hear, you can find more great episodes over on our website, www.millennialsofthemoviehouse.com, or wherever you find your podcasts. Curious about updates, extras from our episodes, or want to add your 2 cents about a reviewed movie? We're also on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle for both is @themoviemillies. Check us out and make sure to follow us. So until next time,
We're millennials.
And we'll see you at the movie house.